Hello, everyone. So welcome to the info day of MedBAN. We'll just wait a couple more minutes for more people to join in. We have had plenty of registrations. We are very happy about that. So we'll just ask you to please hold for 2 minutes and then we'll jump ahead. Okay? Thank you very much. Okay, so I believe we can start already. First of all, thank you very much for joining us at the Mediterranean Blue Acceleration Network Info Day for our open calls. First of all, I would only ask for every participant to enable or disable or disconnect their microphones in order to avoid hearing some feedback. So if you can do that, please, we would really appreciate that. First of all, my name is Jorge Gonçalves. I'm from Magellan. We are an affiliated entity of Fórum Oceano, which is the coordinator of this project. So just to give you a very quick grasp on the agenda on this info day, we'll have the MedBAN institutional presentation by Fórum Oceano, just describing generally what the project is about. And then we'll dive into the specific calls, so the innovation training and twin transition call and the internationalization call, two simultaneous ones. And that's basically why we're all here. Then we'll have a quick presentation on the guidance for potential applicants. So this would be a guide for the F6S platform, how you can basically go through the platform and submit your application there. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A moment. We would ask you to put your questions in the chat, so in the Q&A chat, and in there it's easier for us to organize to manage to answer your questions. Okay, so we'll have a specific moment for that. If we are unable to answer some of the questions that you put there, or if you can have questions later, we'll be adding frequently asked questions in the MedBAN public folder, so you can consult them later. So again, thank you very much for joining us. I'll now move to the presentation of the MedBAN project and pass the word to Frederico Ferreira from Fórum Oceano. Thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frederico Ferreira. I'm Blue Tech Manager at Fórum Oceano. Fórum Oceano is the Blue Economy cluster of Portugal, and we are the lead partner of this challenging project that will run for 2 years. So next slide, please, George. So MedBAN is a single market program project, so in the Eurocluster initiative. It will run for 2 years and has a 1.4 million, more or less, budget, but, and is what the objective of today, 1 million is in cascade funding for SMEs, so some of you that are here, and we will, in this webinar, tell you about this opportunity for the open calls that are running in this project. So we gather seven partners. Maybe you can pass to the next slide, because you see the geographic distribution of the partners. So we have 6 clusters: Fórum Oceano, Polymer Mediterranée, Federação del Mare, Cluster Big from Italy, Polymer Mediterranée from France, Cluster Maritime and Logistic from Balear Islands from Spain, and Strategies from Greece. And we have also an affiliate entity from Oceano Magellan that is represented here by George, and it's also have an important role in the communication and other aspects of the project. So what is MedBAN? MedBAN objective is to mobilize the blue economy SMEs to adopt the DDC strategy, let's say strategy for more digital, more green and more resilient economy. How we will do that? We, in the first stage, we mapped the blue economy ecosystem. You will see that we, one of the first part of the project, we mapped the opportunities and the challenge in this geography. And we are aligning also these challenges with the smart specialization strategy and the national resilience plans. There's another part that is not being dealing here today. It's more for the participant clusters, that is also a part for training the human resources of cluster organizations. What is the objective of the project, and to deploy some financial support to the SMEs is what brings us today, and it's the 2 open calls that are open: innovation training and twin transformation for business, and internationalization for business. They are running together, but they are separate, and it's what we will explain today, how these 2 cascade funding calls will run. So next slide, please. So the project has 2 transversal work package: management and communication and dissemination. The Euroclustering is regarding the work package 2, regarding the first stage, so the mapping of the challenges and the training of the clusters. And work package 3 and work package 4 are the ones that design the calls and will be responsible for the implementation of these calls. So next slide. So what we have done so far, there was a kickoff webinar in November. This kickoff is also available on the YouTube channel of Fórum Oceano, and you can go there if you want to have also an overview of the project. We mapped, so there's a public deliverable available on the website where we map the blue economy ecosystem of this region. We identified 5 sectors and 16 challenges. We will see more in detail in the next part of the presentation. And we also established some communication channels. There's a biannual newsletter. The first one already came out, and we are present in social media, in LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, where also MedBAN has a profile. Next slide, please, George. There are MedBAN call for suppliers that it's open until Friday for the consortium countries and 28th of April for other countries, but it's not what we are here for. But you can also have more information on that on the website and the social media. What brings us today here is the call for proposals, and that you could apply until the end of May, and that we will try to clarify how the process and how it's going to run, and also if possible, there will be also a time for your Q&A, and we'll try to respond to your doubts. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for your interest in MedBAN. This project is for you. You are the main stakeholders addressed in this project. So I'm very glad that we have a large number of participants, and I will pass the floor to my colleagues. I believe it's to Lydia to present and Sarah from Federación del Mar and Cluster B to present both calls. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Federico, and hello, everyone. I'm Sara Tedesco, Senior Program Manager at Cluster BIG and Work Package Leader in relation to the internationalization calls. I will leave the floor to Lydia before starting the presentation to present herself.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Lydia Rossi, Project Manager and assisting Federazione del Mare for all the project implementation. We are leader of Work Package 3 that is focused on the open call innovation and twin transformation. And thank you to all of you to participate to this info day.
So we can go and start with the overview of the open calls for proposals. So please, next slide. So today here we want to give you an overview of what are these two open calls. As Federico mentioned, these are two simultaneous open calls that are directed to SMEs working in the blue economy. So the calls are two, and the first one is related to innovation, training, and twin transformation of businesses, whereas the second one is more related to the internationalization processes in the blue economy. So through these calls, we aim at deploying financial support to SMEs that can benefit of a large array of services that will tackle specific objectives that are expected from the MedBAN project, particularly from the mapping activities that we have heard before that's available publicly. Next slide, please. So this is to give you an overview of the timeline of both calls. As mentioned, these are running simultaneously, and both calls were opened on the 30th March, and they will close on 31st May. Then there will be the phase of the evaluation and award that will run from June until mid-July. And then after the award phase, we will implement the financial agreement from the end of July till August. And we will start off with the implementation of services from September 2023 until July 2024. The interim verification is an important part of the process. So halfway through the implementation of the services, we will need an interim verification to see how the service is progressing. Next slide, please. So both calls have specific scopes. Here you can see that as for the innovation, training, and twin transformation call, the main aim is to support the SMEs to innovate and implement new processes in twin transformation. Whereas for the internationalization, we aim at supporting the SMEs in their internationalization process in the blue economy. In both cases, SMEs shall focus their service on the adoption of processes and technologies, aiming at a more resilient, digital and greener blue economy. Next slide, please. As for the eligibility criteria, this is just a summary. I, of course, ask you to go more into depth about the calls specifically, but to give you an overview, the SMEs, so consider private entities, are eligible for these calls, and the eligible applicants should have their headquarters in one of the eligible countries. That are all the countries associated to the single market program COSME strand, namely the 27 European countries, and these are listed here with the recent addition of Turkey and Ukraine. The main target groups under MedBAN, the main target groups basically are the SMEs from the Mediterranean, especially the MedBAN partners countries, but nevertheless, the SMEs from other countries outside the MedBAN consortium are eligible and they won't get any disadvantage in the evaluation criteria. The applicant must be a single SMEs. This means that consortium are not allowed. So single SMEs can only apply to this type of calls. And of course, the application shall be submitted in English language. The applicants will also see a specific type of selection. So at least 10% of supported SMEs will come from different countries from the MedBAN consortium ones. So outside Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, and Greece. And definitely we want to encourage also the engagement of SMEs that comes from different levels of economic development. You will see that in the call, we have done a great work on the mapping of what are the challenges related to these 5 sectors that you can see here. And so the SMEs that will do the application for the open calls shall focus their request, their project, their services towards these challenges that are listed in the call in more detail, but I will give you a quick overview. These anyways are related to sustainable aquaculture, sustainable fisheries, sustainable tourism, harbors, and marine renewable energies. To give you a quick overview, what are the type of challenges included, but of course, as mentioned in section 3.2, you will find more details and examples. You can see that through the, you may try to tackle one of these challenges, for instance, in relation to sustainable aquaculture, how to improve aquaculture farms monitoring as an example, or as for sustainable fisheries, how to fight illegal fishing and to implement control on fishing areas, etc. And as well as to sustainable tourism, how to develop new sustainable offers in relation to tourism as well. And also for the other 2 sectors, we have found other specific challenges, for instance, in the harbor section, how to build resilient ports, or as for marine renewable energies, how to implement new synergies with other sectors that might be involved in this type of process as well. Before I pass the floor to Lydia, I will give you an overview of what are the eligible costs. So first of all, it will work like this. The financial support will be supplied from the MedBAN consortium directly to the SMEs, and the SMEs will pay the suppliers that will provide the service. Each applicant should expect to be awarded a maximum of 1 service, but as we have mentioned in our communication, as mentioned here and on the call, we warmly suggest to indicate also a second and third option, because it might be the case we may have more funds available, therefore we might be in the position to finance more than 1 service. But as currently, 1 service will be funded. And one important thing to note about the eligible cost, please bear in mind that only external costs relating to paying the suppliers for the service provision are eligible. This means, for instance, that SMEs, staff, and travel costs are not eligible. So please ensure with the supplier about the details of the cost of that service and what's included and what's not, and be sure of what's eligible. So now I pass the floor to Lydia. Thank you.
Yes, thank you to Sarah. And regarding all the procedures for the financial support payments for SMEs, please have in mind that the MedBAN grant amount will be disbursed to SMEs following this procedure. A pre-financing of 45% of the total financial support will be delivered to SMEs after the grant agreement signature. It means that before starting the process to deliver the service, you will receive a pre-financing of 45% of the total financial support, and a final payment of the rest of the total financial support will be delivered to the SMEs at the end of the service provisions, of course, against the presentation of an invoice and an assessment questionnaire. For what concerns the Bank of Suppliers, all SMEs have the opportunity to choose among suppliers that have submitted the registration process. We will have a public folder available for you where you can see all the Bank of Suppliers that have submitted the registration form, providing all needed information to prove the high quality services and to prove that they have expertise in the related services. Of course, taking into consideration the all procedures and rules, the selected service provider should be an independent entity. It means that it should not have any formal link with the SMEs in terms of prevent any conflict of interest. And of course, the MedBAN consortium partner cannot be acting as suppliers and to be paid by a financial support. So just have in mind these rules for the Bank of Suppliers, and you will be you will have the available all the lists in the public folder indicated in the open call. For what concerns the relation between SMEs and suppliers, please be reminded that the MedBAN project consortium is not involved in the interaction between the suppliers and SMEs, and there's not formal responsibility regarding the commercial agreement that can be established between the SMEs and suppliers. And please take into consideration that during the registration and submission of your proposal, the SMEs will need to sign a declaration agreement between SMEs and suppliers at the proposal stage. And this agreement will declare a formal, let's say, agreement that the services will be provided within the MedBAN implementation period that will start in September 2023 until July 2024. And it means that the services delivered by suppliers to SMEs should follow this timeline and period, project implementation period. And of course, as I said before, you will need to upload a quotation of the services provided to SMEs, a pro forma quotation that will consist in a commercial agreement between the SMEs and suppliers. And of course, the amount can also go over the maximum grant amount established per each SMEs, but of course we will ensure what has been agreed at in the proposal as financial scheme. But later I will explain better to you how it works. The application procedures to allow SMEs register and present its proposal will be explained later on during our next slides. But just to give you an overview, first of all, you will need to be registered in a specific portal. You will have available the link. Consult, of course, all the rules, regulations inside the open calls and the eligibility criteria. You have to select the topics that I will explain in a few minutes in the further details, and of course, prepare all the needed information to submit the application, and of course, upload the agreement between the SMEs and supplier. And of course, please consider that only applications submitted and completed in English will be taken into consideration. So the formal language is just and exclusively the English language. all the application document needed to allow SMEs the registration, of course, will be declaration of owner that can be downloadable in a specific link. You will need to have the quotation, to upload the quotation between the service providers and the SMEs as a proof of acceptance of conditions of financial support between SMEs and suppliers. And next slide, please. Of course, after the submission process that will end at 31st of May, a process of evaluation will be applied in order to select all the applications received following specific criteria that will be explained later on specifically to you, that will ensure that your proposal will meet all the criteria of viability, feasibility, scalability, coherence, and impact. But we will, in a few minutes, explain in details what are the expectations in terms of evaluation criteria for your applications. Here is the whole scheme that can facilitate to you to have in mind all the formal process that you need to follow to register and submit your application. So as said at the initial stage, the submission phase will last until the 31st of May. After that period, an evaluation phase managed by the evaluation board and external board will provide to select the successful applications following a specific criteria of coherence, transparency between all the applications received. And after this period, around September or August, all winners will receive a formal notification and an agreement will be signed between the MedBAN consortium and SMEs. Once this pre-financing financial support will be delivered to SMEs, it will start the implementation phase. That means the period where the SMEs will receive and will get the service delivered by the suppliers. And finally, we will have the final phase of the process that will consist on a final reporting and registration of the impact analysis. So now we will give you a more detailed financial scheme regarding both calls. We will start with the innovation training and twin transformation call, and then I will leave the floor to Sara to better explain the services provided under each topic per call, and also explain to you how it works specifically with the budget amount allocated per each call. So under the call innovation training and twin transformation, that will be mainly focused on all the processes that will allow to adopt processes and technologies for SMEs to reinforce their transformation, greener and digital transformation. You will have, we will have a total amount of 750,000 euro, and services to be financed are divided under specific topic that in this case are ideation, acceleration, open innovation, consulting, and training. Of course, you will have an approximate number of proposals to be awarded, but it's not a fixed number. It will depend on how many proposals we will receive, with a maximum budget per entity. So it means that under each topic, we will have a specific amount dedicated that will allow to provide the services within this maximum budget, and under each of the topics divided and distributed per the support as supported services per call. So going further into details per each topic. Let's say that is not an exhaustive list of actions that can be submitted under this topic. This is just a very general description on what we expect under this topic. I repeat, it's not an exhaustive list, but basically is expected under ideation topic services that will be focusing mainly on all actions addressed for entrepreneurial spirit and let's say challenges focused on twin transition and to increase SMEs resilience in terms of entrepreneurship in order to face also the twin transformation, let's say digital and green transformation. You will have, as said before in the previous financial scheme, a maximum grant per service with an average of total proposal that can be awarded under this service. For what concerns acceleration, under this topic, of course, you can consider all actions focused to help startups and SMEs to bring to the market new innovative and products and services connected, of course, on digitalization and green transition, since, as you can see from the title of the call, all actions that will aim to adopt new processes and technologies for the twin transition can be submitted under this call. You will have a maximum grant per services and an average of proposal to be awarded. For what concerns open innovation topic, services to be financed under this topic can face all the actions for challenge and matchmaking between startups and SMEs with the innovative solution and to promote open innovation in the digitalization and green transition, and of course also to promote piloting projects on these two challenges of the twin transition. And also in this case, you will have a maximum grant amount per service. Under consulting service, you can consider all actions and a broad range of activities to be funded, let's say, that are related or associated to all the business on green and digital transition, ESG actions, or innovation readiness, business continuity and risk management. And finally, you can get also services related on the topic of the training that will include all services focused on tailor-made training for companies. It means to receive specific grants to improve the training expertise and the training of SMEs in this specific process of twin transformation. You will have also the maximum grant amount per service and an average of proposal to be awarded. And now I leave the floor to Sara to explain the financial scheme that is under the other call, internationalization call. And thank you to all.
Thank you, Lydia. So yeah, let's start off with a focus on the services under the internationalization call. And as mentioned by Lydia, the list we provide in the supported service is not necessarily exhaustive. So we provide some examples that might cover this type of services. So for the internationalization calls, we have 3 services. You can see here a summary table. The first one is consulting. The maximum budget is 10,000 and the approximate number of proposal awarded is 16. We have training, 8,000 euro is the maximum budget here, and the approximate number of proposal awarded is 5. And lastly, international matchmaking, that the maximum budget is 10,000 and the approximate number of proposal awarded will be 10,000. To go a little more in depth about the consulting service under the internationalization calls, you can see here a few examples. So, for instance, under consulting, we can see services related to the market analysis. So, it might be the case when a supplier may provide some assessment to the SMEs for the ones to target specific markets. Or we have also digital management experts, so just to support in the SMEs to planning, development, and adoption of new solution, especially the digital solution, to target foreign markets, according also to the needs of that target market. And also the cost analysis, so suppliers may support the SMEs in the process of reporting separate elements in a cost proposal, so taking into account the various type of costs there might be, like labor, equipment, materials, and so on. And here you have again the summary of the maximum grant and average of proposal as mentioned before. The next service is training. So about training under internationalization call, the SMEs can benefit of tailor-made training services that are more specific on how to internationalize each company. So this will, of course, be adjusted according to each SME's characteristic and needs as well, and also to target markets taking into account all the different aspects among the countries that SME wants to internationalization. And you can see also again the maximum grant per service and the average of proposal. Lastly, the international matchmaking service. Of course, here the suppliers may support the SMEs in finding new ways of connecting with international entities and to foster new business partnership, protocols, etc., etc. So now we are going more in the operative type of things. We want to provide you an overview of how to apply on the F6 platform, which is the platform where SMEs will upload their declaration of honor, their application form, etc. Next slide, please. Okay. So first of all, you will go on the F6S portal and you will need to sign up on the portal. So you have to create your own account. You may choose to continue with LinkedIn page or Facebook page, or to signing up with an usual email. Then you will be on the F6S platform. You will have the home page and you may go on the top left side and you will see the section apply. You will click on that, and where the magnified glass is, you will type MedBAN. Once MedBAN is selected, you will see all the calls available. And as you know, we have two calls opened at this moment. So you can see here also on the screenshot, the internationalization and innovation, training and transformation. You may click on the one that you want to apply to. And once you are in the page of that related call, you will need to create your own account based on your company name. So you will just go, let's get started there. You will select create new, and you will type the company name, the SME's name. Then you will see the application form here. And as usual, as it's already provided in an example within the call, you will type the SME name, the BAN number, legal status, and all the information and contact details related to the organization. In doing so, please do remember to upload the declaration of honor, which is mandatory, and you will know where is it. It's the public drive, but it's also available in this presentation. And then here you will select the topics you want to apply to. As I mentioned before, you will have a maximum funding of one service, but we warmly suggest to select the second and third option in case more funding will be available. So this is the section when you can fill out that part. You will select the service, but also the related challenge to it, because bear in mind that the challenges which are mentioned in the call have to be tackled through the services you are requesting. Now I'll pass the floor to Lydia.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. As described before in the first slides, of course, you have to also explain and complete the description following what is expected as evaluation criteria, and also explain why we should choose your proposal. So you should explain better in details the viability of your proposal. It means why your proposal have a real potential to be into the market, and also why should be a competitive advantages your proposal according to the market, the labor market challenges. And you have to also to explain the feasibility of your proposal. Let's say you have to explain why is the time to introduce innovation in your company for your business in relation to the services that you would like to receive. You have to explain also the scalability of the proposal. Let's say explain why your proposal should be scalable, could be scalable, and explain why. And the coherence of the proposal, let's say, so how your SMEs and your activities are coherent according to the services you would like to receive, and if it responds to the challenge that you have identified as the MedBAN challenges explained before by Sarah. And finally, you should also explain the impact of your proposal. Let's say all the short, medium, and long-term effects of your proposal, and how your proposal will tackle with the change and innovation. So basically, it's required to you, to SMEs, to explain into details these aspects that will exactly follow the process, the criteria and selection process during the evaluation phase. Next slide, please. So here you will have the opportunity to choose the supplier, and also to upload, as said before, the quotation between SMEs and suppliers. So the signed declaration between SMEs and suppliers should be uploaded in the submission phase. So please have in mind this needed document, since you will need to be to upload it under the platform and under the registration process. So just to recap all the process for submit your proposal. Next slide, please. Thank you. The main steps for the application procedures are basically this one list here. So first of all, you will need to consult the call documentation and see if your expertise, background, and expectations are responding to what is expected in the open call. Then you have to register in this portal, F6S portal. You have all the link available in the open call, and then you have to select the application form for the MedBAN calls and choose the topics and the list of suppliers, and finally prepare and submit the application form, including of course the declaration of agreement between SMEs and suppliers. And finally, as said before, you have to complete your application in English. Next slide, please. So as mentioned also before, the application form should be filled online in the F6S platform. You will need to sign the declaration of honor, and finally the quotation between the service provider and SMEs. That for us is a proof of acceptance of conditions, financial support and conditions between SMEs and providers. For any questions related to the content of the open calls, any doubts, any concerns, you can write to this email account that will be managed by the consortium. If you have IT and technical problems and you need technical support, of course, you can refer to the managers of the F6S platform. You can see here their email accounts, but please don't forget to put our in copy so we can have the working flow clear and can support you, of course. And that's all from my side. Thank you to all of you. If you have any questions or we are here.
Yes, thank you very much, Lydia and Sara and Frederico for your great presentations. I think it was very useful to enlighten the main features of both of the calls and the project itself, of course. Just a couple of reminders. So this session is being recorded, so you'll be able again to view it or review it. It will be available at Fórum Oceano's YouTube channel, so you can consult that for sure. Again, also the presentations will be made available on MedBAN social media. So again, you can again look better at them. And then I think if you have some, let's say, some questions, we can answer back. I see that we already have some here, and we can already move on to answer them. So there is a question here that regarding, are the SMEs from the single market program member countries eligible, namely the countries from Western Balkans like Albania, North Macedonia, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, and Bosnia and Herzegovina? So on these particular countries, they are not, because they aren't single market program participating countries. So as we selected or listed in the presentation, the participating countries from the single market program are the 27 member states of the European Union, Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway, Turkey, and Ukraine, which were added recently. I believe some of these countries are in negotiation phase to enter the single market program, but they are not participating country yet. So unfortunately, SMEs from these countries are not eligible. I hope that answered the question. So we have another question here asking if it is possible to ask for two services of the same kind. So basically two applications for one specific topic, for example, consulting, but with different contents. So that would be two proposals from the same entity for the same topic. And the answer to this is no. So one entity can only submit one proposal per topic, let's say. So even if you had 3 or 4, let's say, service requests concerning different activities, you will only be able to submit one proposal per topic. I don't know if any of my colleagues wants to add anything on this, but I believe this settled at least on these questions. So there is another question: from which countries are SMEs eligible? I believe I answered that previously. Is it considered a conflict of interest if an SME chooses a supplier, an entity in which it is associated? Well, Lydia actually mentioned this, and I believe the answer is yes. So there should be no link at all, whether it is a financial link, so being in the same group of a parenting company, or a legal link. An association, well, I can pass this on to my colleagues for them to provide their feedback, This is also a linkage, let's say. It's not an economic one, but I don't want to be too taxative or too peremptory on this, but I would say this is also a link, let's say. I don't know, Lydia, if you want to add anything on this, but
yes, I agree with you, since the open call specifies that the service providers has not to have any formal link with the SMEs, any kind of control. So I think that this is the case that where the SMEs is not eligible if in some way is linked to the suppliers.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, basically the same question, but regarding suppliers. So are entities outside the participating countries from the single markets eligible to be suppliers? And again, the answer is no, unfortunately. We actually don't. We actually, the MedBAN consortium only pays out directly to SMEs, let's say. So we are not responsible for the relationship between supplier and the SME. We can review this question with our project officer. So I believe we will have to stick within the let's say the eligible countries from the single market program, because we'll get the invoice from a supplier from those countries. This isn't a closed question, I believe, but either way, I will add an answer to this on the frequently asked questions in the document, okay? So for SMEs, for SMEs applying, for sure, they can only be from single market program countries. For suppliers, it would be the case for now, but let's give you a final answer in the frequently asked questions, okay? Okay, perfect. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything. There is also another question here. There is a specific way the total amounts are divided between countries. And I think the answer to this, I don't know if any of my colleagues wants to answer, but the answer is no. Lydia, I don't know if you want to jump ahead, but or Sarah, but there is no limit. It's per proposal, so qualitative per proposal, right?
Yes, that's it. We will follow a balanced geographical criteria, but it's not declared in the open calls, and so it will depend from the quality of the proposal. Thank
Exactly.
you.
So just to give you an additional note, so what Lydia and Sarah mentioned, there is a criteria for at least 10% of the selected SMEs to be outside from the consortium countries, so outside from Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, and Greece. But besides that, there is no criteria, so no restringency. It's based on merits of the proposal. Okay, let me just highlight this again. Lydia also pointed to this. Please prepare your application ahead of time, since you need to talk with suppliers from the bank of suppliers. You need to check exactly the type of service that they might offer you and align the agreement between you as an applicant and them as a supplier. And then you need to have the quotation. So a pro forma, nothing too elaborate, but basically stating that you'll agree to get a service at a specific price that will have a very general description on what the service will entail. But consider this for your application, okay? So you need this period for, well, negotiating and contacting. So it shouldn't be a thing that you do in the last couple of days of the application, because you need this document, okay? Okay, there is another question. Is there the deadline for April 28th was non-EU country suppliers? Correct? No, it wasn't actually, not EU country suppliers. So it is suppliers outside the countries from the consortium. So suppliers, So this is a separate issue. So we have a call for proposals, which is now running, and that's what we just presented. It's running until May 31st. And then we have a call for suppliers, so for the bank of suppliers, from which the SMEs or the applicants will be able to choose from. And this bank of suppliers is open for providers or suppliers within the consortium countries, so Portugal, Spain, France, Greece, and Italy, until the 21st of April. But for entities, for potential suppliers outside these 5 countries, it is open 1 week further ahead, okay? That's the rule. Of course, there might be some very, very specific exceptions where an applicant cannot find a supplier that tackles their needs, let's say, but this should be unlikely since you have plenty of suppliers in the bank to choose from. But if that is the case, somehow we can evaluate on a case-by-case criteria if we allow other supplier to join in after this deadline. But that's not the rule, and it should be the case that you should consider both of these deadlines. Okay, we have another one. Do the service providers get paid by the SMEs directly or MedBAN? So first of all, yes, the service providers get paid directly from the SMEs, so not from MedBAN. The payment between the service provider and the SME is entirely independent of the payment that the MedBAN project does to the SME, okay? So if by the SMEs, do payment terms go according to 44, 55% or according to the agreement? Yes, so it's according I believe this agreement is referring to the agreement between SME and supplier. So basically it is up to the SME and the supplier to decide how the payment will be done in a regular commercial transaction. It has, let's say, nothing to do with the MedBAN payment. The MedBAN payment to the SME will be done, as we told you, refinancing of 45% at the grant agreement signature. And then at the end, when you have an invoice and a questionnaire filled, basically proving or detailing the implementation of the service or of your action, we'll pay you the rest from MedBAN side to the SME. But the payment between SME and supplier is totally a bilateral relationship between the 2 entities. So I hope this answered the question. I don't know if we have any further questions. We are well on time. That's a very good thing. So I don't know, am I missing some question? Maybe Eduardo or any
not
colleague
really.
of mine?
Yes, I think you answered all of them.
Okay, so I don't know if you have any other questions from the attendees or the participants. Well, if not, again, this will be available soon in the next coming days in the Fórum Oceano YouTube channel. I hope this was useful. Please feel free to ask for any clarification for the context that we just gave you. So medban.eu@gmail.com. So this, of course, all this context will be available. Follow us in our social media, which is also important. We'll be posting every update that we have on the project there. So LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And thank you very much again for attending this session. It was very good. We are very happy that so many of you joined us. That's not so easy currently to have more than 50 people for an info day like this, a very specific one. So yes, please ask us any questions and participate in your applications. If you're an applicant or you have other partners, share these calls with your partners. If you are a supplier, also we advise you or incentivize you to share with the potential applicants. And again, thank you very much to be here. I think this is about it. I think my colleagues don't want to add anything else. So again, see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Bye.